Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Linda Sue Plants for You. I hope you're all having a wonderful start of a weekend. We're a little disappointed here in Wisconsin. We were supposed to have a warm, sunny day today, and it ended up being cloudy and somewhat foggy, actually. So I'm not sure how well the content of this video is going to show up. I'm going to make a really good attempt to get the lighting correct so that you can actually see what it is I'm taping here, but the lighting is not that great today, so I'll go ahead and do the video, and hopefully it'll work out. Okay, I'm starting today with my south wall. For those of you that have watched other videos of mine, you know that I'm doing this wall by wall and room by room. I have, last time I counted, I believe it was upwards of, well, it's just under 200 plants, so that's a lot to put in one video. I've been collecting plants for my whole life, and I'm going to tell that story one of these days, but for now I just want to share with you what I have, because I love watching all your videos, and I'm hoping that you will appreciate mine. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna start on this end and that is the corner there. I do not have plants on that piano. That was my grandmother's piano, and that's where I learned to play, and oh, there was just always something very special about that piece. And when I was a child, my grandma would not allow anything other than greeting cards to be placed on there. So out of respect and a great love for her, I just can't bring myself to putting plants on there, even though I know that they would look really gorgeous trailing down. But that's, for those of you that might be wondering why I'm not utilizing that space, that is why. Alright, so moving right along to the left. I don't normally have my curtain up there around the rod. I did that during the winter months to try and let as much light in as possible. And I will be putting that down probably soon as the summer sun starts to come back in through this south window. What you're looking at right now is in the back you can see a rubber tree, and I think I have filmed that before. And I apologize for that dinging. I'm going to back up, and where was I? Okay, so in front here we have my Pilea peperomoides. That is a hard word, tongue twister, isn't it? When I purchased this about a year ago, it was very rare to find in the US. I found one that was about this size, and I apologize, I cannot remember the name of the dear sweet lady that brought these back to the US. Her story is on YouTube. I believe if you just punch in you know, something to the effect of how did the Pilea get to the US, you might find it there. But it's an interesting story and kind of cute, actually. So anyway, I got that, and that small one I just showed you was a baby from the mother plant, which is what you're looking at right now. And as you can see inside of there, I hope you can, that whole inside is filled with babies all the way around the main stem. And I'm really struggling with whether to cut them out or not. I'm sure at some point I'll probably be forced to do that for the health of the plant. But I really love the way this is looking right now. Okay, I thought I shut that off. so sorry for that. Okay. Anyway, in this corner is my Opuntia cactus. There was 2 of these in a tiny 2-inch pot. And when we left the house, I told my hubby I really, really wanted one of these plants. And as we were going through the garden center, I walked right past it and never saw it. He found one pot, and that's all they had was one, with 2 of these in it. And when he handed it to me, he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Is this what you're looking for?" And I almost started crying. I was so excited. So this is one of those 2. And it's got a ton of new growth on the top. When I first got it, it looked like a little guy with an arm and a head and a hand waving to me. So if you can get that out of this, all the rest of those are new growth since I got it home. And by the way, it's now in a 4-inch pot. Moving down to the ground, you will see this stand. My husband made this stand for me. It's so beautiful. And on the bottom here is another rubber tree. That is the one I featured in one of my videos that has a problem with the lower leaves. There's a cluster of leaves on the bottom there that just refuse to get bigger. And I think I'm just going to cut those off because I do have new growth, as you can see at the top. And I don't want that to strain the plant. And I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I've repotted it, I've inspected it, and done everything I possibly can. And I'm at a loss. This plant here, you probably recognize. It's the Fittonia, also known as the nerve plant. And I have the dark red and the green in here. And next to that is my little elephant that my daughter bought for me because I collect elephants. Down in the back here, I have a light that is shining on the bottom shelf. And next to that is a peace lily. When I bought that, it was in a 2-inch pot, and it was about 2, maybe 3 inches tall, maybe. And it was so spindly, I couldn't really even tell what kind of plant it was. But I bought it, and I brought it home, and I nurtured it, and it is now a growing peace lily. It's very healthy, and it's in a 6-inch pot. So you just never know what you're going to get. Then moving behind here onto the windowsill, and you're probably going to notice that it is in a little state of disrepair. We are planning on some major work in our house this summer. Hopefully we will have time to get to it. This obviously needs some sanding and refinishing, and that's because it's in the south wall, so it gets that full sun and it deteriorates things very quickly. But that's why that looks like that. In the back here you will see, and I forget the botanical name for it, but it's the elephant bush. I don't have very good luck with that, folks. It doesn't look much different than when I bought it. A little bit bigger. Next to that is the Echeveria Lola, which, as you can see, is growing sideways out of the pot. Don't know what to do with that either. I am not good with succulents. I love them, and more power to those of you that can raise beautiful ones. I'm not one of those people. I prefer hanging plants and floor plants and things of that nature. Next to that is my Sinicioso. That's my string of pearls, which I featured last week in a video for those of you that are in need of any pointers as far as propagating that plant. And above that is, this is my curly lipstick plant, and I think the botanical name is Echinanthus radicans. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'll try to remember to put that up on the screen so you can look it up. It's a double curly leaf lipstick plant. And as you can see, it does not have any blooms on it right now. But I'm anxiously awaiting because they are beautiful when they are in bloom. And next to that, this is my heartthrob lately. This plant, although I've always known it as a strawberry begonia, and I do believe that most of us call it that, but it's actually not from the begonia family. It's called Seraphragis or Seraphragis, Stolonifera, something like that. And again, I'll try to remember to put that on the screen so you can research it if you choose to. This plant was at Lowe's. It was on the clearance rack, and the biggest leaf was about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. The leaves on here currently, some of them measure like 4 inches across. That's how big it got in a very short period of time. It was dying. It was $3.50. I really wavered on whether or not to bring it home, but I had one of these years ago and it was huge, and I remembered how that looked and I wanted to try to duplicate that. So I thought, what the heck, for $3.50 I'll try it, right? Look at the growth on there. It's just beautiful. In fact, I'm going to be checking that out probably tomorrow, Sunday, afternoon, and I have a feeling it needs to be repotted, but we'll see. But just look at all the babies. It's just, ugh. And again, when I bought it, the biggest leaf on it was about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide. It only had like 3 babies hanging from it, and everything that was piled in the top was half dead. It was overwatered. It was soaked. The roots were rotted. And I'm just shocked that it came back to life as it did, just so beautifully. Okay. Moving over here, this was also a clearance plant. This is a viney plant, and it grows very quick. It's a Ficus pumila, I believe it's called, creeping fig. It's variegated. Although the new growth that's coming out does not have the variegation. I'm not sure why. I know there's a logical explanation for that, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I hope you can see the beautiful color in there. And again, I apologize for the lighting. Although being that this is a south window, if we did have a sunny day, that might not have helped anyway, so. Alright. Then moving down, I have my African violets. I'm not a big, huge African violet person. There are several YouTube videos that feature African violets, and I love watching them. But I think I don't have the patience. I'm not sure. This plant that you can see the actual almost periwinkle color, that was like 3 times the size, the spray of flowers there, and they are now starting to die. But it was like that for several months through the winter, of all things. So I'm going to be working on my African violets tomorrow. when I go over a few of my other plants. And at that time I'll be cleaning this all up and getting it ready for another spray of flowers. In between there is my Kalanchoe Chocolate Soldier. I was having trouble with that, and I think maybe it wasn't getting enough light because it has really perked up since I put it in the south window. Another African Violet. And then over here are my last 3 African Violets, which are also blooming. Not quite as profusely as the first one, but nevertheless, they're still pretty. This one I got at Stein's. It's got the variegated leaves, which I was looking for, and they only had 2 left, and they were both $5, but they were very sad looking. They looked like they were almost dead. So I asked the man there if he would be willing to come down on the price a little bit, and yes, he did. He marked it down for me to $1.25, and I was so grateful, and I said, for that price, I will take a chance on trying to revive it. And revive it I did, and there it is. It does need some attention, but again, I'll be working on all that tomorrow. And that is my variegated jade. Also got a lot of new growth. The lighter colors are all the new growth just in the last 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm anxious for that to grow. I used to have a huge jade that it measured about 3.5, 4 feet wide and about 2 to 2.5 feet tall. And it died when I moved many years ago. But it was a beautiful plant, and I would love to get a jade back looking like the one that I had. And it had such a wonderful shape. It was mounded from side to side instead of round. And of course it was longer than it was tall. And it was just the most gorgeous shape and very full. It was not a bonsai. It was just beautiful. Okay. And then this is Kalanchoe. This is the Panda. And these are cuttings from my original one, so they're coming along okay. And that's it. And then, of course, my little elephant guy back there. Alright, and then stepping back a little bit, I apologize if I'm making you dizzy. Down here is my Marble Queen Pothos. This is the slowest growing plant I have ever owned. It is finally getting some new growth on it. I'm hoping that will continue through the spring and summer. I'm trying to get it to grow up around that planter. And there is some that's going behind it. I'll have to weave that in later. And then next to that, for those of you that have been following me, you will recognize this planter that my husband brought home for me. Still trying to decide whether I want to paint it or not. I really kind of like the rustic look, and it does go with our decor, so I might just leave it. At the bottom there is my ZZ plant, and he is doing so good. Needs very, very little care. I practically just ignore him, and he likes it that way. And I do have new growth in the back of him coming up. I water him about once every 6 to 8 weeks. And for those of you that can see the heater behind there, that is a heating vent, but I have a plastic cover that it's kind of like a dome. It's got magnets on it, so it sticks to the vent, but it points the heat down toward the floor, so it's not blowing directly on. Okay, and in the top of this planter, this made me so sad. I had purchased a silver lace fern. And I had that in this planter, and it looked so, it was just perfect for it. But the sun was way too hot for that fern. I ended up having to move it, and move it I did, and it's doing much better where I have it now. And conversely, the ponytail palm was not doing very well, and it needed more light. So recently I have made this change, and my ponytail palm is doing much better since I put it in the south window here. As you can see, there's new growth coming up the middle. And I can't wait for it to get really full and cascade down over the sides of that planter. I think it's going to be just beautiful. Alright, and last, I'm going to move over here. This is also part of my south window, but you guys have seen this before. I have my tillandsias in there, also known as air plants. They're not doing the greatest. I think they need more light than they're getting, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I may have to make a change. And the same with my corner shelf, although I have a pretty bright light on there. That's a philodendron, a heartleaf, and it's not doing well either, so I think I'm just plain not getting enough light in this corner. So we'll have to do something about that. My Chinese evergreen is doing fantastic. I had 3 or 4 blooms on it just a week ago, and some through the winter months as well, so it likes it there. And next to that is my peace lily. It's a variegated peace lily, and it's got the most wonderful texture. I'll see if I can get a little closer, if you can see that. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it's really a beautiful plant, and those leaves are huge. That leaf sticking out the top there, I could fit 2 of my hands in there. I can't get at it because it's behind my sofa, and I'm not going to move all that right now. And next to that is this is a temporary spot for this. It's a peperomia, believe it or not. And I just have it there now because it wasn't doing well where I had it, and now it's just taken off like crazy. So I need to find another spot for that, but that'll be another day. And then of course above that is my Scindaptus, and that is kind of sad looking too. I need to find another spot for that. So something about this corner, I don't know. Alrighty, so anyway, this is the overall view. One last time. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I know it was a little bit longer than usual. I look forward to any comments. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. And if you have any other suggestions or comments for me, I'd love to hear them. I just need to know if you guys are watching and if you're enjoying what I'm putting out there. So if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Bye now.